Hey guys, Turret here bringing you a 1v1 today. We are on Nexus. Playing today, spawning on the right, we have Flame-kun playing as US Forces, who has Airborne, Recon Support, and Rifle Company. From the left-hand side, we have Firestorm playing as OKW and going for Elite Armoured.
Pathfinders on station and ready for action.
This is a Patreon backer submitted game. Flame-kun around rank 280, Firestorm around rank 400.
A capture point is under attack.
So Firestorm going for a double stern post start along with the tech truck. Looking for a fast 221. Sandbags coming up over here, coming around to the heavy cover. Nice positioning here by Flame-kun. Can turn his own tank traps against him, but with Rifleman coming in from the other side, it's going to work out very nicely. Going to jump into the building here. Ooh, a little bit sloppy to allow that to happen, but the squad inside the building is getting so low. Not going to be able to maintain that position for long. This is not ideal. Try to soft retreat back here. We're jumping into the building even. One window. It's not going to go too well.
A capture point is being overrun.
Coming over to this side's actually allowed a second and third window now to start firing. So big mistake here from Firestorm. Switching over to this side of the building. Allowed way more DPS to come through. Kind of lucky they didn't drop models there on those stern posts. But we've got the 221 in the mix now. One thing that Paul does, he's a very frequent elite armored player, is he'll come in for a truck push. You do get your truck out very early on, and then you typically plant the battle group down a little bit later with these kind of fast 221 strats. So coming in for a truck push is actually very, very strong. It'll really assist you in a couple of engagements. So far, no. 221 doing some big damage. Of course, Pathfinders, no anti-tank grenades, so nothing they can do there, and should have just gotten out of this engagement. Bit of a lucky break again there for Firestorm on the model drops on the stern post. Able to come back and maybe complete that mine. Meanwhile, Pathfinders could even go down here. Stern post force way up here. Get a little bit close to death. Big damage. Gotta be careful. These hit hard. Big penetration on these base machine guns. 221 has to get out of there and fast. Oh boy, he's gone for captain. Okay. Still a very, very long way off being able to build an anti-air half-track. A pretty good answer to this kind of build order is to go for an M20. Arrives earlier, does very well in the matchup against the 223. Because it has way more penetration on its gun. Just way, way, way more penetration. I think it's got more armor as well when you get the skirts on it. So it just, does very well. And of course, we've only got two stern posts. They could, of course, get Shreks, but it does mean less Fausting squads around. So you can just drive in close, do some big damage, maybe even push the Shrek squad around so they can't shoot shots at you. It's generally a pretty decent way to go against these fast 221 strats. Here we go. Oh, he still doesn't have the mechanized. It's in production at the moment, but maybe a little bit slow starting that up. So that means no trouble for that 223. It's gone airborne and dropped in the 50 cal. This could be a wipe now. No chase from the captain though. Pathfinders could still find the damage. They just need to land one of those sniping shots. There goes one. Not quite able to get the second one through there. So far, pretty good action from Flame-kun, getting the tank traps with the wire up. Some nice heavy cover positions. Might be staying in these fights a little bit too long. It's the 2-2-1 though.
Americans are making a push.
MG from Firestorm next. I do think, you know, with these builds you still do need 2 Volksgrenadiers ultimately, just for nothing else, for sandbags, 2 snaring squads. Gives you enough infantry to cap up the map as well. You know, with just 3 squads like this, especially if you're tying up a couple or one of the sternpipes quite often to repair up your 2-2-3. You might be lacking a bit of capping power. In this case, you know, Flame-kun taking quite a long time to get his light vehicle going, so it hasn't been such an issue, but in a lot of other cases it would be.
Target secure. Establish defensive line. Pay attention this way. Enemy attacking!
But yeah, anti-half-track going to be arriving, and Firestorm doesn't have an answer yet. The kitten is in the build as well.
Orders complete.
Does have a few mines down also. Maybe could bait the anti-half-track over one of them. But there's the time where I suppose maybe you can just get the Shrek reactively. I feel very exposed on my 2-2-3 at this stage of the game though. Especially with so few snaring squads. But at least he has vetted up on the 2-2-3 so can smoke to get away to safety. Okay, coming in from the side with the Volksgrenadiers, getting a decent flank cooking here. Quite a lot of damage coming on the 2-2-3 though, that 50 cal getting to work even without the AP ammo equipped. Still does some big damage. But ultimately doing enough there to force the retreats. Anti-half-track coming out to the other side. Everything's getting suppressed by the machine gun. There it goes though. Kitten switching across. Only one model goes down to the mine, but ultimately the captain's not going to be able to stay in here for long. Anti-half-track switching sides, but it is quite slow, anti-half-track. Bad move speed on it at top speed. So it can be hard to react and switch sides, play dynamically with it. 2-2-3 much faster. I think at this stage it's maybe max speed's around 7. This is about 6. Much faster acceleration as well. Though this actually does have slower acceleration than the 2-2-2. Strangely enough, can make it a bit cumbersome sometimes. Especially if you try and dodge like Urang anti-tank grenades. It's one thing you really notice, like the decreased acceleration compared to the 2-2-2 on the 2-2-3. Makes it harder to dodge those, which is part of the reason why I'm not a huge fan of the 2-2-3 against Soviets, but I know that some other players do have quite a lot of success with it, so that's my preference at least. Alright, flak base down, pretty advanced position on this. More players go for a little bit more defensive, just covering the cutoff with this one. Covering most of the Muni's point cutoff as well. And in this position, probably alright, you know, so far so good for Firestorm, really. It's had a pretty good run of the map. So, I feel like the threat of a push on this truck, not that high. Flame-kun, if he sees this though, does have the option of going for like a double anti-tank gun push on this before the mediums can come through. See Firestorm still about 100 fuel, 3 minutes or so. Maybe even more, given that he's losing map control thanks to the anti-air half-track. So it does give time for a anti-tank gun push, but doesn't seem that likely. AP rounds equipped there. Oh boy, no reaction. Where's the smoke? Close call there for Firestorm. But that's the thing, you know, these can't attack ground, especially not from inside a building, so... Smoke a very good option against those AP equipped machine guns.
Squad numbers back
Target secure.
Unfortunate that Flame-kun didn't get a chance to wire off the other side of that tank trap. Kitten shooting at the crawler there. Piers up at base. No sweepers yet. Firestorm does have a lot of munitions. I think, you know, in these cases, might as well just get the sweepers faster appears on your 223. Reduce the downtime of that. This is actually a bit risky here for Firestorm. A lot of squads coming into the retreat path. A bit of run and gun. This could be a wipe. But it looks like Flame-kun not chasing. Should be a chase all the way home on that. And I think he would have had a very good chance of getting the wipe. Nice cut-off play here from Firestorm though. Getting a bit cheeky coming in from the side. Kitten up in the far north. Obers though managed to wrap around. Force off that machine gun. Flame-kun still struggling a bit. Has a lot of manpower. At this stage of the game, as the US player, you got to figure, okay, I've had pretty bad map control to this point. My opponent's gone for a very cheap light vehicle as well. So they're going to have a fast medium tank. I might as well build an anti-tank gun now, because he's going to have a medium tank, you know, probably around the 14-15 minute mark. And then the anti-tank gun will also be able to force away the 223. Going to get very low there. Able to hold on to the territory though. Brought on some paratroopers as well, a decent place to put manpower. Second machine gun also would be a fine option if you don't have a squad of elite infantry that you want to bring in. Okay, minesweeper's going to run right past that mine after detecting it. Some capping with the Raketin. Into your half-track switching sides. Going to go for the cut-off and finds the flak base there. Made out. Decent dodge. Still going to take a bit of damage from it. Oh boy, re-echelon go down over here for Flame-kun. What was that? Not entirely sure. Paratroopers on the run. Switching sides with the anti-air half-track. The Raketin has been forced away, so the AA half-track do some good work here. Smoke out, and that's going to maybe cover the cut-off play. Unfortunately, he's trying to close in. Having trouble with the arc on that. Not facing the right direction with the anti-air half-track. A little bit awkward to use sometimes. Does manage to stop this squad from getting close enough for the Faust, so going to continue on his offensive with that now. And has managed to decap here, slowing down Firestorm's fuel. As I said, Panzer IV already in the build. We'll be a bit after the 15-minute mark it's on the field. But yeah, no anti-tank gun yet for Flame-kun. Has got the major, and, you know, not too far away from his own medium. Anti-air half-track, big damage on the 223. Oh, but the Raketin's there. And what was that movement? Oh! Might get him on the other side. No! Oof. Flame-kun, this is one of the issues with the AA half-track, you know, it is a little bit cumbersome to use, and we're seeing it in some of his movements. Not going that well. He's popping the suppressing fire mode here, managing to suppress the Obers. Problem is he's still taking damage from these other sources, so even though the Obers are suppressed and not doing much, also not taking much damage, and the other sources of damage are allowing Firestorm to win this engagement, ultimately. Panzer IV on the field now, and Flame-kun has no response. Oh, accidentally Moving his vehicle crew quite far away, and this could go down now. Panzer IV getting in close. Pops the machine gun upgrade on that. Anti-tank gun in the build now for Flame-kun, but way overdue. As I was saying, gotta have a better read on the amount of resources you've got. Panzer IV just getting to work here. This should be a wipe on the Major. And does indeed get it. Was kind of backing off in a position where if that shot from the main gun had missed, he might not have got the wipe there. Maybe playing a little bit greedy with the Panzer IV. Doing some big damage with it now as well. That's a full retreat for Flame-kun, really paying the price for not having an anti-tank gun on the field. These paratrooper models dropping down and dying. And, you know, losing the Major is a bit of a shame. You know, you lose the opportunity of vetting it up, getting that sight boost, which is really, really helpful. Just another squad for capping as well, which can be very helpful when you're behind like this. Things are going pretty smoothly for Firestorm. Already up to Vet 2 on the ice. Yeah, it's just been camped here. But Flame-kun's kind of just been sitting there, taking the shots. Close range as well for very short scatter. Hasn't really been forced to move this away too much. And Flame-kun now coming down to the bottom. I think this is a good choice. Firestorm maybe could be considering like a base inspection at this time. Especially if you see your opponent's anti-tank gun on the far side of the map. This is a prime time to come in here before your opponent's medium hits the field and go for a kill on the ambo. Don't think there are any mines down here. Even in this case, you know, unless they've gone... Yeah, well, they'd only just do light engine damage anyway, so it's not a big deal. Shot connects there, into your half-track on the move. Got the AT gun, but it's having it sight blocked by this wall. Looks like he A-moved it forwards onto the Panzer IV, but doesn't work too well. Into your half-track, trying to get away. Panzer IV switching on to prioritized vehicles. Jumps the vehicle crew out, which gets crushed a bit. And saves the vehicle crew at least. Still loses the anti-air half-track. A little bit clumsy there by Flame-kun with the anti-tank gun usage. Sets it up, packs it up. If he left it set up there, would have been able to fire off a shot as the P4 retreated, but yeah, not very good anti-tank gun usage at all by Flame-kun there. So overall, very successful. Doesn't even take any damage on the Panzer IV, so can get back in, doing damage again. Good reactions from Firestorm. They're dodging away from the anti-tank grenade. I mean, from the concussive. From oh my god, from the pineapple. Is it the pineapple or the cooked grenade? Oh boy, good bit of body blocking there as well. And this is just not going well for Flame-kun at all. Has managed to field himself a Jackson though. Firestorm struggling a little bit for manpower at this stage. Deciding to go for a second Raketin for some reason. Did have the option of just like, oh, pushing out another tank. Get 5 on that 223 by the way. Does have a little bit of extra health because it's so high in vet. That's why it didn't go down to 2 anti-tank gun shots. That's a vet 3 bonus, I think. 20 extra health. Helps with the survivability. There's no like machine gun fire to follow up for good boost of damage. Good shot in there on the Jackson. We've got the Raketin nearby. Panzer IV popping on the heat shells, but not quite in Raketin range. Jackson just needs one more shot. Panzer IV. Here it goes. AT gun did get decrewed over here. Could perhaps even get salvaged by this squad of Volksgrenadiers after he clears off this infantry. Don't want to let the vehicle crew jump on that. Oh, the suppression kicking in. From what? Oh, the 50 cal back there. Okay, vehicle crew does jump on it, but loses the vehicle crew in the process. Not the end of the world. Definitely good to keep the M1. But yeah, the heat shells don't actually change the shots to kill in that engagement. They give you plus 30% damage, I believe it is. So you need plus, 34% damage to change the shots to kill. So it's not quite enough. You need like a Faust or like a Bounce Shrek even would do the trick, I think. But doesn't manage to get that to work. So a bit of a throw there from Firestorm on the Panzer IV. RSG pulls back to the flag base. Jackson back up to full strength now. Anti-tank gun needs to come over to the ambo. Good cut off though. MG working nicely, gets the suppression. Might have to switch the angle here to keep the squad under fire. One straggler though crawling past, and that one results in the squad getting pinned. Flame-kun did get the Jackson, was pretty good against the Panzer IV, but now can't really do anything until another tank hits the field. And the tank is arriving now. This is going to be the Panther, or the Sternpire is just suicided into the 50 cal there. No bars on that Pathfinder, so not that good. Jackson trying to do some anti-infantry, which I can understand. I think I'd probably be attempting the same myself in this scenario. Low chance of hitting, maybe like 4% or something, but hey, sometimes it works.
We're losing a capture point.
Here comes the Panther. Jackson using his extra range there very nicely. Scott next for Flame-kun. But the OKW infantry here overwhelming. Big grenade. But he sees the Raketten right there with the captain. Still drives into it with the Jackson. Now it's one shot. You never want to be exposing your Jackson to a Raketten shot like that with a Panther nearby, because all it really takes is one shot on your Jackson, then the Panther can just dive in, and because it's got so much more health, it can just trade shots and win the fight. And in this case, that could be disastrous for Flame-kun. Does manage to get away with it though. The Panther was a bit too far back. And tank gun rolling forwards as well. On the run from the Scott there. Still pretty close in terms of victory points to this stage. In fact, Flame-kun actually has the lead, in spite of being quite far behind in terms of army for most of this match. And I think that's part of what I was talking about, with maybe lacking some capping power. Firestorm only going for the 2 Fox Grenadiers makes it harder to set up those triple cap opportunities. Have to capitalize on those opportunities. At this stage as well, it's getting a little bit risky to be using the 223 on the field. Might be worth maybe setting up somewhere around here in the center. He's got a nice little position here, and that way you can still use it for the armored detection mode with the signal relay. Spot your opponent's vehicles, see their positioning while getting some boosted resources as well, and being pretty safe from enemy fire. Maybe even try set up like a couple mines down here. Maybe hope to bait your opponent's tank in to start firing on the 2-3. Since, you know, when it's set up, boosting the resources does like highlight the territory sector. Yeah, this is why it's a bit risky. Micro started to slip, takes an anti-tank grenade. Jackson heading up in that direction, but I think it's far enough back that's going to be just fine. The Panther arriving to keep things safe. Jackson bouncing there. Got the anti-tank gun somewhat nearby. He's pushing the truck. Oh boy, this is really bad reactions from Flame-kun. Oh boy. But now Firestorm backing past the anti-tank gun. Anti-tank gun has not pushed the AP rounds, but still penetrates both shots. Riflemen are dead up here to the stern post, so they can't get the snare off. So yeah, that was maybe made possible by the fact that Flame-kun just glacial in his pace at repositioning the anti-tank gun to face the Panther threat. If he had turned that around, you know, maybe even 10 seconds earlier, popped the AP rounds, probably could have maybe even traded the Jackson for the Panther there. Again, for Firestorm, it was quite risky just diving in there with like almost no support. If he took an engine crit at any stage, that'd be really bad news. Major coming in here, dropping some artillery. You see Flame-kun is trying to put a siege down on the Schwer now, coming in from an unusual angle. You don't see this too often, but by the same token, this isn't often built this far forwards. Double kittens maybe looks like they're not going to be able to get the job done. Paratroopers come through. A little bit risky to run them in here. Kind of needs them to defend the anti-tank gun from an infantry push.
We just lost a unit.
Major rebuilds and goes down to the Obers in the center. Obers need to be coming up here to respond to this. And again, this is perhaps where, you know, a lack of infantry for Firestorm starts to expose himself.
Crowds are sniffing around our asses. Tactical point being captured.
Luckily, though, from this angle, seems like the anti-tank gun having a lot of trouble, a lot of shots connecting with the building. So that push doesn't really work out. If he just pushed it like maybe across to here so he had a more direct line, probably could have got the job done. Very close to vet on that now. Once you get vet, you can pop the take aim and that can really assist, but I think he heard the Panzer IV coming in and decided to reset this anti-tank gun down, and now is getting pushed from multiple angles. Overs coming in, grenade out, AT gun decrewed. We do have the recrew from the paratroopers. The Panzer IV backing away here. Probably should have dropped the artillery down on this to follow up, maybe hoping to kill off the decrewed weapon like once it was decrewed, prevent the recrew and do a lot of weapon damage with that artillery strike. Here comes the Sherman now. Panzer IV driving around, might expose his rear armor doing this. Again, popping the heat shells. Good for just increased penetration chance in these head-to-head engagements. And just dissecting Flame-kun at the moment. Oh. This could be the end of the Panzer IV, though. No, the anti-tank gun packed up for some reason. And Firestorm really needs to get on top of using this artillery. It's one of the huge reasons you'd ever decide to go for the commander on your Panzer IV. And just lets that get away here. The Panther even could dive in and knock this out. You have to maybe read the game state a bit better than this. You know, you just knocked out the Scott, the Sherman, your opponent's anti-tank gun extremely low. They've only got one snaring squad. At worst, you're going to run into one anti-tank gun and a snare, which in this case you have the artillery perhaps to help back away if you do take an engine crit. And by knocking out this anti-tank gun, just about close the show on the game. Just get so far ahead at that stage. You've just about won. But in this case, backing away. Perhaps allowing Flame-kun back into the match. He's managed to save up enough for the P-47s. He's got the double anti-tank guns. And he's got enough territory control as well to field himself another tank in the not too distant future. He's still very far behind, of course. You can see Firestorm has another Panzer IV. Can't build it yet though. Can't actually get it onto the field. It says pop cap limit. And has to reinforce a few squads as well, so... But, you know, having it queued up there, not the end of the world. If he does lose a tank, it will just instantly pop out, so... Be pretty good. Got some bars on this Pathfinder now. A lot more effective in the AI role. Oh boy, and Firestorm lost enough infantry that he managed to field this Panzer IV, and that means that he won't be able to reinforce anything. It's going to be a little bit awkward for him. Double anti-tank guns coming in, doing some pretty big damage, but here comes the 223 from the far side, harassing this anti-tank gun behind the sight blocker from the other one. Panzer IV rolling forwards. The Panther should be coming in here as well. If he drops some artillery down on these again from this Panzer Commander, this would be lights out. Takes some big damage. One AT gun goes down. This Panzer IV sitting in front of this anti-tank gun. So long, could go down now. Bounces the kill shot. Pops the AP ammo. Let's quickly recruit. Attack rounds perhaps coming in there. One of them connecting, and the 223 does end up going down. You see Firestorm seemingly overwhelmed at the moment. Overloading his micro. No reactions to these anti-attack round attempts. Suppressed now. Sternpire is trying to charge in. I think maybe he's just forgotten that he can actually drop the artillery down from the tank commander. Oh boy, the Ober's in some trouble up here. Paratroopers Vet 3. There's some big damage. The Schwer does go down. The tank gun decrewed again. There's the machine gun still back at base. And you can see kind of not being able to reinforce the squads. It's really hurt Firestorm. Hasn't felt comfortable pushing back onto the map with his low model count units. Trying to go for a rebuild on the Sternpires. But he won't have the pop cap to actually field them. In this case, maybe going for the final OKW truck would be the best option. Similar manpower expenditure. Opens up the option of the King Tiger, which you're probably going to go for. Now you lost your Schwer. Get some repairs going as well. To remember as well, you've got the emergency repairs, which we haven't seen from Firestorm at all so far, I believe. He's got 700 munitions. So between the artillery and the emergency repairs, with this and the heat shells, you know, you really shouldn't be floating munitions that often with this commander. You should be quite liberal with your use of those abilities. So Firestorm really missing a huge facet of this commander by not using that.
Standing by. Support package received.
Okay, Sherman on the field now for Flame-kun. Has spent quite a lot of his munitions, so it doesn't have the P-47s loaded up at the moment, but does have his Muni point connected, and still actually ahead on the VPs. Firestorm does seem to be lacking a bit of capping power. I think it's the investment into the double Raketans, really. It hasn't really been that necessary for the anti-tank. It just means that he's kind of one squad down to cap with. Here's a 4 coming down to the far side. A little bit inactive at the moment for Firestorm. Here he comes now though, getting something going. 3 tanks like this should be able to just steamroll his opponent. Coming up to the far side here, doing some decent damage. Panther in the far north though. The kitten's a little bit exposed to the paratroopers. Clears off the beacon, but it's very low. At the moment, going for the fuel cap. I think the priority needs to be at this stage the VPs. Firestorm getting quite low in that department. Doesn't really need the fuel himself. I suppose denying the fuel to Flame-kun pretty helpful, but VP's a more immediate threat of yourself actually just losing. Stempire's down in the north quite quickly. Panther with no machine gun, so or no pintle. Not the best against infantry. Double anti-tank guns doing some damage to the Panzer IV. Seems like Firestorm really getting overwhelmed at the moment. Having a micro on all these fronts. Control's starting to fall apart a bit. A lot of tanks requiring repairs. Struggling on the VPs. And Flame-kun has managed to save up enough for the P-47s. A second Sherman. Anti-tank gun starting to vet up as well. This one up to nearly vet 3. So the stage is set for Flame-kun to make this comeback now. Could be a good time to set up some booby traps up here in the north as well. You vetted up obers. Good option for slowing down the capping. And once again, going for a resource point instead of the VPs with this squad. And he's so low on points. You can see maybe he's trying to cap this with the Raketan now, but when you're down to 70 or so VPs, there need to be a much higher priority than this. Sending out the Raketans to do some capping now on the far flanks as well. I think it's a decent idea. He's coming in. Does have the sweepers on that Stempirer at least. And they're vetted up, so good repair times. Panther in the far north, a little bit inactive up there. Okay, he's calling in the planes. And it's going to force Firestorm off the center. Both his tanks and no retreat on the overs. They go down. He had quite an opportunity to hit the retreat. Down to one model, and then he had probably about 5 seconds to hit the retreat before they ended up dying. So definitely Firestorm getting overwhelmed with the micro in the late game. Panther up here in the north trying to prevent the cap, but we've got the Vet 3 anti-tank gun coming up. Roy remembered the artillery this time. Nice. Drops it down. Pathfinder's crawling out to the side though. Looks like he's not going to hit them too much. Rifleman threatened the flank. He retreats. Good timing on that. I think it should survive. Very close one though. Very close. We'll push down the south. Gets around the side of the machine gun. Decent idea to shoot at it with the Raketans here, because maybe if they've been decrewed and you've recrewed them with actual Volksgrenadier models, it could be quite helpful in that fight. A bit of extra damage. Sherman coming down. No, a little bit risky. Did see the double Raketens there just a second ago. The Faust connecting too early though. Not going to result in an engine crit. Now the Sherman coming in from the other side. Panzer IV somewhat nearby. Big damage. Fortunately, he should be chasing, trying to keep pace here, threatening the snare for the kill, but Flame-kun gives up the chase. Other Sherman doing some big damage, but here we go, Raketen spinning around, no retreating. Panzer IV coming in with the heat shells, but again, Firestorm firing off the Faust too early, but lunges that mine that's been there since like the 5th minute, somehow hasn't been run over till this point. And down goes the Sherman. Very good news. Both Shermans dead now. Should be easy for Firestorm to just drive in, sit on top of these anti-tank guns, and win the game now. Panzer IV a little bit inactive. Panther as well. A bit of a drive-by here. Oh, but again, no retreat on the Volksgrenadiers. Bit of a sloppy loss there. Blitzing out to safety as well. Mobilizing this Panzer IV. 18 VPs left for Firestorm. Oh, gets the kill on the captain. Captain did manage to neutralize the anti-tank guns. A little bit slow there. They were so close, but they didn't come through for any damage. Probably should have got one volley of shots through it, I would say. MG coming up here, but Major can maybe drop some artillery. No, he doesn't quite have the munis. 2 munis away from that. Drop it in now. And he is. Flame-kun capping down the bottom here. Machine gun doing its best, but might not be enough. Panzer IV out here still with the damaged engine. Firestorm really needs those vehicle crew repairs right now. This could completely change the game for him. If he just swarmed in here with all of his armor, he could just win the game right now. If his tanks were healthy. Operating this Panzer IV on low. Still risky, but I think I'd still go for it. But he's really rolling the dice here. 15 VPs remaining. Sturmprice coming into the center. Black half-track down to the bottom now. And that should open up the capture down there as well. Double anti-tank guns a little bit inactive. Paris come out of suppression. Grenade out, but already charging ahead. Nice G connecting as well. Oh boy. Or maybe that was a beacon that died down there. I thought it might have been the Pathfinders. Trying to reinforce off the beacon, by the way, with those Paris. Really playing a risky style, and he pays the price for it. Paris go down. 7 VPs remain for Firestorm. But with a couple of losses there for Flame-kun, lost his Major, lost that Vet 3 Paris squad. Now he's in some big trouble. Maybe he just doesn't have enough capping power now himself to close the show on the victory points. Decent mine up there. Still so many VPs to go for Flame-kun though. He's not given up. Rebuilding the Sherman. Maybe go for another machine gun is what I'd suggest at this stage. Doesn't really have the munitions to upgrade a squad of paratroopers. And you know, machine guns can be very helpful in these capping wars. Here we go, double Panzer IV's rolling him, but he never repaired them up. Blitzing past. Getting aggressive. Bad timing for this though. The fresh Sherman is arriving. No Panther support. Loses 1 Panzer IV. Drops the artillery down now. A little bit overdue. This could be a completely different story. Second Panzer IV could perhaps still be alive if he dropped that artillery down earlier. And both Shermans go down. I mean, both Panzer IVs go down. Now maybe the flak as well. Squad inside the building also very low. The Panther coming down as well. But yeah, you needed all 3 tanks to get that done. Only sent 2 and never repaired them up either. Even 1 squad of infantry coming in there might have saved the day as well, because I think the 50 cal had retreated. Wow. Well-timed jump out by Flame-kun. He needs to pop the blitz here, make sure he gets away safely. Ooh, he doesn't pop the blitz, but he does bounce the kill shot. Flame-kun not popping the AP ammo on his AT guns, maybe paying the price for it there. Looks like some paratroopers are getting dropped in now by Flame-kun. Firestorm, of course, has lost his Schwerpanzer headquarters, so he can't build another tank. Oh, Flame-kun just throwing away that parrot by dropping it in there. 50 cal keeping that squad pinned, and kind of models just dying as they're dropping down. Triple cap running now. Flame-kun dropping the VPs very quickly indeed. MG covering this one. This one is a little bit exposed in the north. We do have a vehicle crew heading out there. We do have a Fox Trinity heading up there as well. 50 cal pulling back. Do have quite a lot of infantry. Pathfinders coming around the side as well. Should be able to force away this machine gun. Oh, there's 2 machine guns here actually. Might still be enough though. Pathfinders need to come onto the other side of the sandbags. Make sure they stay out of the reach of that MG34. So they're just going to go for the cat from behind heavy cover. Fortunately, he's going to shut that down. The grease guns, the vehicle crew, terrible. Very low DPS. Yeah, it's quite a common confusion, you know. Grease guns on the vehicle crews just way worse than the ones that assault engineers have. I think they do about 1/3 of the DPS. Just terrible. Gearing up the Panther now. Did indeed put down the mechanized truck. Doesn't have the repair upgrade on that. Spending manpower on rebuilding squads at this stage. Do the option maybe of trying to go for the King Tiger stall. But it's quite a lot of manpower away, so I can understand just trying to hold on to the VPs. Close out the show. Falls in for the incendiary grenade there, nicely done. Got a fresh Scott for Flame-kun. The kitten is back there though. A little bit slow mobilizing again. The vehicle crew tries to come to the north but shut down. MG does get decrewed though by the Scott. Still have those double anti-tank guns to contend with, and has to be cautious. Incendiary grenade out. Vehicle crew dead. Have the blitzing pass. Trying to find the Scott, which is doing some risky stuff in the center. Speaking of risky stuff, Panther just about took an engine crit there from the rifleman, except they weren't trying to actually go for it. Could have though. Opportunity is looking for the Faust perhaps. That squad gets very low, but this other squad could Faust. Should be the end of the Scott here. Not vetted up for the smoke. Panther backs off. Worried about the double anti-tank guns. Fair enough. Pathfinder's down up here as well. Firestorm losing the Raketen in the south, but one anti-tank gun decrewed. The Panther should come back in here. At least to kill this, but probably also to knock out the Scott while the anti-tank gun's under pressure. Some paratroops dropped in. Coming in now with the decrew, Flame-kun. Trying to throw a spanner in the works for Firestorm. Loses the Scott though ultimately. Sternpost go down though. Was that to a Scott shot? Maybe it was to a grenade from the Paris. Panther coming down to the south now. Forces that away. That is one area where the Panther's heat shells are actually very good against the Scott. Makes it a 2-shot kill. Panther should be coming over here, killing off this decrewed anti-tank gun. Should be #1 priority right now. Another squad of paratroopers dropped in on the north, it looks like. Gonna go for the cap up there. 45 VPs remaining for Flame-kun. Firestorm just getting the infantry cooking.
Americans down to 25 points. Press the assault.
Alright. Back to the north. Go for a bit of crush. Forces the paratroopers away. 19 points remaining. Firestorm calling the GG now. I don't know if... well, maybe. Doesn't have any smoke. 50 cal setting up. Mysterious A moving forwards. If he could have won their straight machine gun war there. But from that far back, it might not work. Jams the capture over there. Completes the triple cap, and that should be the game. Goes in for a base inspection now. Maybe overdue, but decent idea. So yeah, there we go. A few things there that I mentioned for Firestorm, as I was saying, maybe needs one more squad of Fox 3Ds just for a bit more capping power. Almost lost the game just because he didn't have enough capping power this match. Maybe the second Raketin as well. Not really necessary given his huge armor advantage. And needs to remember to use the vehicle emergency repairs. Could have dug him out of a real hole, allowed him to close the show a lot earlier. Needs to work on the late game micro as well, but that just comes with practice. But yeah, I think this was pretty kind of close to the build that I recommended in my off-meta report on the Elite Armored Fast 223 style. The game has changed a bit since then though, with the battle group getting split into all these different stages. I think the build is still alright, but I remember I was playing Elite Armored post battle group change, and I did tweak the build. I can't remember exactly how anymore. Slightly based on that change, because it does change the pace at which the upgrades arrive in the early stages. But yeah, good determination there from Firestorm, able to close the show. Flame-kun, his anti-tank gun control probably losing him the game there. Not activating the heat shells often enough, being too slow to rotate to deal with incoming threats with them. Probably could have got 2 extra tank kills if he was a bit sharper with his anti-tank gun control, and that probably would have won him the game. Well, anyway, guys, wrap on that. If you like your game to be cast by me, details in the video description below. Otherwise, I'll catch you off the next thrilling installment. Goodbye and good luck.